We back with Brita Raid, and I have 4 teams for you all to use. I will be showing the 4 team comps, but I will only be showcasing my 2 favorite ones in the video. Before that, here are the basics. B-Side has added 2 new levels to Brita, 170 and 190. From level 70 to 150, use Jin Bora to reduce the boss's cooldown, but on 170 and 190, Jin Bora doesn't work anymore. Luckily, we can use an old strat where we counter the boss's special. Sadly, there are only 3 units that can do this, and they're all awakened, and only 2 can survive during the first 2 minutes. There's a lot to show you, so let's go ahead and check it out. Here's the first comp. For Sasha, you can run A speed, crit damage, AoE res, or ground res. Those are all viable options. And if you'll notice, I have Tommy the Diehard on my team here. I love Tommy the Diehard. This is honestly an awesome unit. For Brita Raid specifically, he comes out, he survives the first minute, and then he gives you +1 DP on death. An amazing unit, in my opinion. But if you don't want to use Tommy for some reason, you can use Stronghold or Felicity instead. Swan is kind of irreplaceable. If you don't have Swan, you either need to bring enough Death Breakers or Death Pin sets for all your DPS. Besides that, if you don't happen to have Regina or Mavka, you can sit there and replace one of them with ASY. For team number 2, we're running Vivian this time, and you can use crit damage, A speed, AoE res, or ground res as a side skill. And you'll notice a lot of returning characters here. Of course, we know we have Tommy. We can use Felicity or Stronghold instead, but Tommy gives that +1 DP, so we love Tommy. Other than that, everything's pretty much similar. We do have some changes in the roster, little position movement here and there. But you'll notice at the end that we have Eve, which Jacko can be used instead. Chifu as well. Mordred, you can sit there and run Kurian or any other sniper. Queen. The only thing is if you don't use Mordred, you do need to sit there and change the roster up a little bit. The only reason why Eve actually survives is because Mordred is OP and blinds the boss, so Eve doesn't take as much damage. Or if you're finding your Eve dying, then you can sit there and move it to look like this instead. You'll still get the proc. It'll be a little slower, but it will clear the boss. For team 3, we're running Vivian as the operator, and we have Dino here. So if we use Dino, it actually works out perfectly fine that Mordred or whichever sniper, Queen, that you pick, she'll deploy after Brita uses its special. So you don't have to worry about them dying just because of Dino's high cost. Then after that, you can use Ray instead of JSY if you don't happen to have, Jushun here. And you can run Jacko instead of Eve. And if you don't happen to have Seal, you can use Chifuyu instead. For Team 4, we're going with the old school comp. Kim Hana is going to be our operator for this one. And the side skills can be A speed, crit damage, AoE res, or ground res. If you don't happen to have Mordred, you can sit there and use any sniper, Awaken, preferably. If you don't have Mavka, I guess you could sit there and use a Rochi instead. Besides that, this is a rather old school comp. It's guaranteed to work normally. So instead of Spencer, though, you can sit there and run Plaga instead. But Spencer's just way too good not to have on the team. For supporters, my advice is you're gonna want to sit here and run units that outrange the boss's auto attacks. So something long range like snipers or Acris, towers like Maria. Dino's a good option though. Dino, because of immortality, it's not gonna die and it'll last the entire time. So it'll do damage as soon as it spawns, which is great. Here we go. Now, generally I say turn off 2x, but we don't want to stay all day in raids, so we leave the 2x on. We'll take the damage loss. It's fine. But we got Tommy the Boys coming out. They're gonna. They do a great job. It's wonderful dark tech, giving us +1 DP after a minute is amazing. Buying time so Ray can come out and doesn't die so easily. You do need somewhere around like 45% or more skill haste on Ray in order to be able to counter all the specials from the boss. I do suggest using some crit res though as well. That'll help him survive. Other than that, we're just deploying most of our supports. We get our DPS out here, and because of Tommy, we'll get both of them out before the DPS check. Even without Tommy, you can sit there and you'll get both the DPS out, and they'll pass the DPS regardless. But I'm trying to sell this Tommy MLM, so buy it, please. Besides that, something I should mention: both the teams I'm going to be showing, they are both set up so that you can use Kim Hana in the comp. It'll be a slower comp, well, definitely a slower kill, but it just in case you don't happen to have Sasha or Vivian, you'll be able to use it. Now we have Ecclesia coming out here, and if for some reason your Ray should survive until this point anyways, but if it just happens to die, Ecclesia will take over tanking, which is fine. Ecclesia does a great job. And now we're just setting up for our final kill. Jacko may not actually do, I mean, she does do a decent amount of damage even coming out this late, but I just needed something 5 cost so that we could sit here and line up with these ultis here. As you notice, the Swan sits there in ultis. We got our Sasha proc going off, and then we just watch the boss's HP just melt. And of course, we get to see our damage numbers here. Sasha and Regina both doing amazing work. And 3 mil for a few seconds wasn't bad on Jacko, to be honest. Alright, so now we have the Vivian comp here. And I said it in the previous one, but if you didn't quite catch it, buy the Tommy MLM. But no, this team is also set up so you can use Hana instead of the operator. It'll be a slower kill, but it will get you to clear. But yeah, we got Tommy and the boys coming out doing a job, stalling for Ray just for a few moments, and then once their job is done, they give us a +1 DP. We got, of course, our newest awakened. If you haven't pulled Swan, definitely pull Swan. Swan's a great unit. Swan is love. Swan is life. Pull Swan. And of course, we have Sigma coming out. Funny enough, Sigma as a supporter actually kind of works. She only gets a DPS for a minute. She has to live 15 seconds, but with 1 line of ground res, she seems to work out pretty well. She almost comes close to death, but with her own tower healing, Shinatsu healing, and then shields from Aegea, Sigma lives. So unfortunately, Sigma doesn't really get much of a chance to shine here, seeing as we don't have our full buffs and full debuffs going on. So these ultis just kind of tickle the boss and don't really do much. Other than that, we got the counters coming off from Ray. We're completing our DPS check thanks to Mavka. We get a nice early ult from Swan here. But other than that, at this point, we're just waiting for our proc. Now, my Eve survives, and I'm not running anything special on my Eve, just 1 line of ground res, the general DPS setup sort of thing. But oddly enough, when I tried to run Eve in at the same deploy time without Mordred, Eve dies. and I'm pretty sure that's because Mordred puts a minus 100% hit on the boss, and he just stops taking, you know, damage, which is great, which helps her out. So you may, I mentioned this in the team building, but you may have to sit there and move Eve down just one slot if Eve is having trouble surviving. It will be a slightly slower kill, but you know, a win's a win, in all honesty. And oddly enough, we don't even have time to summon Sanjia here. And we get to see the damage numbers here. And of course, Mavka's taken the #1 spot, but Mordred, for the few seconds she came out, she did some work. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope the teams in this video helps you clear Britra. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're feeling extra special, you can join the Mage Institute by clicking the join button. You can catch me on Discord, link is in the description. And if you want to support this channel, there's a link in the description for that too. And as always, I will see you all next time.